So, folks, I watched Chris Rock's special last night on Netflix, and you're not going to believe what he said. It's kind of amazing. Chris Rock has a brand new Netflix special. It is his first comedy special since the incident in which he made fun of Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife, at the Oscars. He made a joke about how she was bald, and this led Will Smith to at first laugh and then glance over, see that Jada was mad, and then walk up on stage and smack Chris Rock full across the face while yelling at him to keep her name out of your effing mouth. Now, Chris Rock took that hit like a man and really said nothing about it for almost a year. Well, just before the Oscars, he now has a new Netflix special out in which he breaks his silence on that. And that is a notable headline. We'll get to that in a moment. But the most notable thing about what Chris Rock did is that he has now become just the latest comedian to go full anti-woke. Now, if you believe, as my friend and mentor Andrew Breitbart believed, that culture is upstream of politics, that what you see in the culture eventually bleeds its way down into how we do politics, then the woke revolution is coming, and that right quick for a lot of the folks on the woke left. You're starting to see this in Democratic Party circles as well. This is why Joe Biden has been gradually backing away like Homer Simpson into a bush from the wokies. But the fact is he can't do that because he is tied to them at the hip. He has incentivized them. He's brought them into his administration. And now he's going to take that ride with them. When all of the big comedians, almost all of them, have now come out and started ripping into wokeness, and that ranges from Louis C.K., who, by the way, was quasi-canceled and now is back on tour as popular as ever. When that is true of Chris Rock, when that is true of pretty much all of them, except for Hannah Gadsby, who isn't really a comedian, you got a problem on the left. When the comedians are now more aligned with the right than the left, not because they like the right, they hate the right, but because they look at the left and they say, I can't be anywhere near these people. They're too crazy. That is a serious problem for the Democratic Party in political terms. And again, they escaped the blade in 2022 because Republicans raided the local homeless shelter for candidates. But I do not think that they avoid the cultural consequences of their own radicalism for very much longer. So Netflix has now released this Netflix special. They did it with all sorts of fanfare. They had like a pre-show. They had like a post-show as though it were almost a sporting event. And he had a lot to say. He actually started his stand-up act saying that he was going to try to do a show without offending anybody. He says he doesn't know who's going to get triggered. And he went directly after wokeness. He's like, I'm all on board with the social justice and all that kind of stuff. But it used to be that if you wanted to take somebody's job, you actually had to be better at it than they were. Now you just wait for them to say the wrong thing. And this extended to his critiques in a wide variety of areas. It extended to his critique of Meghan Markle, for example. He went very, very hard after Meghan Markle because one of the things that he said during the special, Chris Rock, is we have now decided to glorify victims. It's one thing if you are a victim. It is another thing if you are a pretend victim. And we have decided that everyone in American society is now a victim. He sounds very much like a right-winger. He sounds like this show, Chris Rock here. Here's Chris Rock going after Meghan Markle.
That she went through was not racism. It was just some in-law. So she's complaining. I'm like, what the is she talking about? No, they're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby was going to be. They're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby's going to be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know how brown the baby going to be.
Okay, and he went off on this for a while. Again, this idea that everyone is a victim. He's like, no, you're not a victim. I'm sorry. And one of the things that he said is, I'm not a victim either. Right? So for a year, I basically took the Will Smith hit and I didn't pretend that I was a victim. So in the middle of the special, he really goes off on Will Smith. I mean, really goes off on Will Smith. There's a lot of pent-up rage here from Chris Rock.
We all been cheated on. Everybody in here been cheated on. None of us have ever been interviewed by the person that cheated on us on television. None of us. It's like, hey, I was sucking somebody else's. How did that make you feel? She hurt him way more than he hurt me, okay? Okay? And by the way, he does that. Everybody in the world called him a bitch. I tried to call the motherfucker, give him my condolences. He ain't pick up for me. Everybody called that man a bitch. Charlemagne called him a bitch. The Breakfast Club called him a bitch. Everybody. And who's he hit? Me. A he know he could beat. That is some bitch.
He was very, very angry. By the way, he also went after Jada. He said, Jada Pinkett Smith, she suggested that I shouldn't host the Oscars in 2016 because Will Smith starred in Concussion and didn't get a nomination. And he shouldn't have got a nomination. It was a really bad movie. He said, so instead, he decided that he was going to give me a concussion. But his whole shtick is, I'm not a victim. All these other people are claiming to be victims. I'm not a victim. They're not victims. Stop with the victim attitude. Here's the thing. You need to be smarter than the average host over at MSNBC because, let's face it, emergencies happen. And this is one reason you should check out Jace Medical. My friends at Jace Medical are offering my audience a free ebook that every family needs in their emergency preparedness kit. It's maybe a 5-minute read. You should download it. You should save it so you have it when you need it. The guide provides valuable information regarding emergency wound care, proper first aid, and how to safely use antibiotics when necessary. Jace Medical, by the way, also ensures that you have the antibiotics on hand that you actually need. You go to Jace Medical, you talk with a licensed physician, and then you get recommended to you the antibiotics you should have on hand. You go over to the pharmacy, pick it up, and now you've got that stored in case, God forbid, there's some sort of emergency. It's why my family relies on Jace Medical. Well, you can get that free emergency ebook today at jacemedical.com/Ben. That's at JASE medical.com/Ben. Go check them out right now. Again, Jace Medical, make sure that your family is safer, and it's not enough to actually have the antibiotics on hand. You also have to know what to do in case, God forbid, you get a cut and you can't get to the hospital. This is what Jace Medical helps you with in this ebook. Go check it out right now. jacemedical.com/Ben. That's JASE medical.com/Ben. We're all going to die. That's a sad story. But let me tell you something. You don't have to leave your loved ones completely without any sort of financial recourse in case, God forbid, you plot. You should go get the life insurance you need. Policy Genius makes it easy to compare life insurance quotes from top companies and find your lowest price. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $25 per month for $1 million in coverage. Some options offer coverage in as little as a week and avoid those unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius's licensed agents can help you find coverage options in as little as a week. They work for you, not the insurance companies. That means they don't have an incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can actually trust their guidance. There are no added fees. Your personal information remains private. Your loved ones deserve that financial safety net, and you deserve a smarter way to find and buy it. Head on over to policygenius.com/Shapiro or click the link in the description. Get your free life insurance quotes. See how much you could save today. That's policygenius.com/Shapiro. Go check them out right now. policygenius.com/Shapiro. Get the life insurance your family needs and do it the quick and easy way. policygenius.com/Shapiro. Okay, there's going to be a backlash in this country, and it's going to come very, very strong for the left because, again, so much of leftist ideology at this point is wrapped into the idea that we are all victims. We're victims of the system. The system has somehow harmed us in some deep and abiding ways. Chris Rock is not the only one, right? You've seen this from Chappelle. You've seen this from pretty much every major comedian is now on board with this because guess what? If you're a major comedian, this means that you have made a success of yourself in American life. It means that you worked really hard to get there. You worked a lot of clubs. You worked a lot of circuits. You failed a lot. And so this notion that you look around you and you see a country filled with failures because there's so many people who are just victims of the society, you don't buy into it. If you're truly successful in American society, very difficult to see that everyone else in American society is a victim, particularly if you're somebody like Chris Rock. By the way, he also had some notes about abortion that were kind of shocking. He actually picked up on an old Louis C.K. routine. And he also said, he's like, I'm very pro-choice. I love abortion. I probably paid for more abortions than anybody in this room, but you are killing babies. And everybody in the room is like, wait, what now? And again, he doubled and tripled down on it. So this Netflix special is important because this is going to be the most watched thing in America for the next couple of weeks minimum. It's funny. It's really bitter. It's a very, very angry special. And one of the reasons that it's angry is because one of the things he's angry at is a mentality that suggests, again, that victimhood reigns supreme and that wokeness is a way to success, that the way that you gain success is by, he went off on woke corporations. He went off on Lululemon. At a certain point during the special, he starts yelling at Lululemon. He's like, you guys are telling me about how much charity you give. Like, you know what would be charity if you didn't sell yoga pants for $120? That would be charity. He is expressing what a lot of people feel. A lot of people of various ethnicities and various races and various political points of view. There is going to be an anti-left revolution in this country, and you're just beginning to see the first glimmers of it, which is very scary for people inside the Democratic Party. Okay, so again, it's not just Chris Rock. It's other cultural figures who you might not expect to hear the anti-wokeness from. So one of those cultural figures is Idris Elba. So Idris Elba is, again, a very left-wing guy. This is a person who did an entire shtick at Davos about environmentalism. Well, he recently did an interview in which he talked about how he wished to be seen as an actor, not predominantly as a black actor, which, again, is perfectly legitimate. And I think quite wonderful. People should wish to be seen as the things they do, not as their immutable characteristics. Your immutable characteristics are immutable. The things that you do are things that you have some control over. And so Idris Elba tweeted out, there isn't a soul on this earth that can question whether I consider myself a black man or not, Being an actor is a profession, like being an architect. It's not defined by race. However, if you define your work by your race, that's your prerogative. I lie? I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with anything he's saying. He got all sorts of bleep for this. He got all sorts of flack for suggesting that he shouldn't define his acting by his race, which he should not. But the left insists that you be boxed into whatever your immutable characteristic category is. The left also does another trick, which is they want to conflate immutable characteristics with activity. This is one of their favorite tricks. They've been doing this for a couple of decades. And the idea is that your immutable characteristics and the things that you do are the same. And the reason they do this is because we don't wish to see anybody, right, left, center, in the United States. No one wishes to see discrimination on the basis of immutable characteristics. And this is what the civil rights movement was all about. Your race is an immutable characteristic. You should not be penalized because of your race. It's something that you can't change, nor would we wish you to change it because it's your race. Who cares? Okay, but what the left has done is they have then associated that with activity. And so if you say, for example, we like educational achievement. Educational achievement is good. And if it turns out a disproportionate number of Black Americans are not achieving educationally, then what the left does, instead of saying, okay, well, the educational problem is a problem we should fix and it doesn't have to do with race, they say, well, you're being racist. And that's why we have to get, the SATs is racist. If it looks at your academic performance, then obviously it's racist because Black people are underperforming. Now, what the non-racist says is, hold up. Academic performance and race have nothing to do with one another. Those are not associated. What the left has done is, in order to continuously promote the idea that marginalized people in the United States are victimized by the United States, they have to create entire new victimhood classes. And it used to be that in the United States, if you made bad decisions or if you did stupid things, this did not make you a victim. What made you a victim was an immutable characteristic and then people picking on you for the immutable characteristic. Instead, what we have decided is you make bad decisions or you make false claims. And if people don't agree with you, now you're a victim of American society. That's very much in the left's interest. And what you're seeing is skilled people of all races, people who work hard for the things that they do. They are now saying, no. The decisions I make are not my immutable characteristics. The decisions I make, I have control, I have agency over my own life. Okay, folks, once you are in the I have agency over my own life category, two things happen. One, you're going to become much more successful and much more optimistic. Once you seize control over your own life and you start to actually look at the decisions you make and how you can make better decisions, you are likely to make better decisions.